ABC-7 Extra.
Welcome to ABC-7 Extra. I'm your host, Dylan McKim. For the next half hour, we will be discussing what is on every parent's mind in the wake of the massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 children and 2 teachers were shot and killed in their classroom. How do we make our schools safer? What resources or training do they need? And we will also discuss gun reform. Should there be tighter gun restrictions in the state of Texas, or should the laws remain the same? Tonight, we will hear from El Paso lawmakers at the state and local level, as well as a firearm instructor and local business owner that provides various safety, training, and tactical courses. We'll first discuss the issue of gun reform. It's a hotly debated topic, and in today's environment has been on the top of people's minds. The Politics Project at the University of Texas at Austin has conducted a poll over the last 8 years. The question, should gun laws in the state be more or less strict? I want to show you a graph of those results in the past 8 years. The graph starts in the February of 2015 and runs all the way to February of this year. The green line is the percentage of Texans who were polled that said they wanted to see more strict gun laws. The red line is the percentage of Texans polled who said gun laws should remain the same as they are. We do see a push for gun reform after mass shootings. If you see here in October of 2019, just 2 months after the Walmart shooting here in El Paso, 51% of those polled said they wanted to see stricter gun laws. Recently, that margin is tighter. 43% of Texans say they want stricter gun laws, and 34% want the laws to remain as they are. Gun reform was discussed earlier this month at a town hall hosted by El Paso State delegation. It was an opportunity for the community to come and share their concerns, questions, or suggestions about school safety and gun reform. In attendance were the state delegates, local government leaders, including the mayor and county judge, local law enforcement leaders, and school administrators. We cut together some of the remarks that El Pasoans gave during that town hall. Take a listen.
After Uvalde, the following day I called my grandson. He lives up there in Morton Road, Illinois. And I asked him, "Did you hear about Uvalde?" He goes, "Yeah, Grandpa. It's just another day in America." He's 10 years old. Yep. It's normalized.
And we all want to do our part. I know I am 100% protective for my babies, my kids. I call them my kids, they're my students, but they're my kids. And I will do anything. Now, what are you all willing to do for us?
This is unacceptable. This is going on, and I want for God to give me enough years for me to see my grandkids graduate, get married. And with this happening, it scares me. It scares me that something might happen to my kids.
And that town hall did last for over 2 hours, with many El Pasoans getting up to that microphone to make their comments. Joining me now to discuss more on the question of gun reform is Democratic State Representative Joe Moody, a high-ranking official in the State House. And alongside him is Chris Yost, a veteran, retired ICE agent, and licensed firearms instructor. Thank you both for being on the show. Representative Moody, I start with you. You led that town hall just a few weeks ago. And before opening it up to the public, you said that you and your colleagues wanted to come out of there with a game plan for action. Now, strictly talking about gun laws, we will touch on school safety later in the show. What is your plan on gun reform?
Well, I think that coming out of that meeting, you heard a lot of different ideas. I also understand, the political reality. I've been in this conversation for quite some time in the Texas Capitol, and so I think we have the opportunity to look at a few things. First of all, let's do what everybody agrees on. Let's enforce the laws that we have now. We have protective order laws that would divest people of their ownership of firearms when we're talking about domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, indecent assault. We're not enforcing those right now in the state of Texas. So judges are signing those across the state, and those people that think they're protected really aren't. So we need to enforce the laws we have. What can we do to go further? I think we can create a state version of a straw purchase prohibition. There's a federal law to that end, but there's no state sanction on. It's the same thing we did with lying on a background check. There was a federal law against it, no state law. We created a congruous state law. We should do that too. We should also increase the age to purchase these weapons from 18 to 21. I've seen a lot of conversation around that, and I think makes sense when in this state just a couple years ago we passed a law that said you can't have cigarettes until you're 21. Makes sense in this respect with children who don't have fully developed brains. Risk management is something that they, and decision making is something that they will struggle with. It makes sense. There's a lot of science behind moving that age restriction as well. I think there's a number of other ideas that can be discussed, but those are certainly three that I think would be, would lead to a very productive conversation.
Of those three, what would be your top priority if you could only get one passed?
I think probably raising the age out of those three. I think that it's tough because you're going to touch different topics with each one. A better, broader enforcement of protective order laws probably would impact more instances. And so I'd have to look at the data, but it'd be between one of those two.
Okay, and Chris, I do turn to you now. Do you think there should be a change in gun laws in the state of Texas?
Actually, I don't, only because there is no studies to suggest that these red flags actually do work. Actually, on the contrary, red flags are constitutional violations, as they do violate your due process under the color of law. Just using, just for example, and I don't want to give credit to the Walmart shooter, he actually was reported by his grandmother before he did head out to El Paso. He was reported that he did buy a firearm. He was uneducated. He was reported to, I believe it was the, I don't believe it was the Dallas Police Department, but the neighborhood that he was living in, his grandmother reported him. Where were these laws that are on the book? I do agree with Representative Moody that we do need to enforce the laws that we do have, but that is a prime example that these red flags do not work. So all we were looking to do is just penalize the legal, lawful gun owners.
I know I talked to you a little bit before this show, Chris, about the open carry law in Texas right now. You do not need a permit. You are a firearms instructor. Do you have any thoughts on that law?
And as for the open carry?
The open carry, yes.
I did catch a lot of flack when it did go into effect, because I do believe that personally that we shouldn't be just giving a firearm to people that don't have any experience behind a firearm, just like you wouldn't give your 16-year-old the keys to your car without having any type of formal training. That is one thing that I wouldn't give. Now, my daughter is 13 years old. I've been teaching her firearm safety since she's 6 years old, but that is with a licensed person. My daughter, I said, is 13. She's been shooting since she's been 6, but that is with someone that's qualified and trained. It's in a safe environment. There is some type of ground, like there is some commonality that we can come across the board, especially with everything that is going on in today's society. But restricting the rights of the people just for the irresponsibility of others is not the answer.
And Representative Moody, the push for gun reform, it's been there in the past, especially after August 3rd. But we really didn't see anything happen. We did see State Senator Cesar Blanco's try and lie bill. That did get passed, but other attempts failed in the House, maybe didn't even get to a vote. What's different this time that you feel a change can happen?
I think every time you have an opportunity to have these broader conversations, you get people to come together and sit at the table. You see what happened in Washington, D.C. You know, it's pretty amazing to watch people work together in a bipartisan way on safety issues. That's important. And by the way, they touched a lot of different issues. They touched a lot of different issues as they passed that bill. So it gives me hope. I mean, in a place where most people think it's broken, can't work together, don't ever do anything, don't even sit next to each other, they were able to reach across the aisle and figure that out. So it tells me that there's hope for us. I certainly think that we have a lot more collegiality than Washington, D.C., in Austin. So we have that opportunity. I do want to point out that in discussion of extreme risk protective orders or red flag laws, the instance here in the instance of the shooter in El Paso doesn't really touch what that bill would do. The mother in that case called the local police department and said, "Is it lawful for my son to?" She was shocked that that her son could own that weapon. That was what was reported there. She just wanted to know if it was lawful for him to own it. And the answer back was, yes, it was. So he wasn't exhibiting any threats. And so in extreme risk protective order, you have two things that you're looking at. First of all, law enforcement's involved, where they're going to bring these concerns to a court where you do have due process. Now, is it sufficient or not? That's a good debate. Let's have that debate. But it's the same protective order process that we have in the state of Texas today, and you don't see any mass, massive lawsuits around people's rights being infringed upon. So the connection there is their access to firearms and the fact that they're an imminent danger to themselves or others. And so, those facts actually didn't present themselves in the shooter's case and in the El Paso case. So not really apples to apples. And we have seen actually in states that have implemented these a good reduction in a positive move to reduce gun-related suicide.
I want to turn now, you mentioned that bipartisan Senate bill that passed this week. We have some bullet points just to highlight what's in that bill. Let's go ahead and look at those. Enhanced background checks for prospective gun owner buyers between the ages of 18 and 21. It also requires juvenile records, including mental health records beginning at the age of 16, be vetted for potentially disqualifying material. It also provides incentives for states that provide or make their own red flag laws. Also in there, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for mental health programs and beefing up security in schools. I want to get both of your takes on this bill. Chris, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on that bipartisan bill? 15 Republicans going across the aisle to vote with their Democratic counterparts.
So the issues I have with that are several. First off, HIPAA violations. Okay? Mental health records are medical records nonetheless, so they are protected under HIPAA laws. Secondly, again, due process under the color of law. When you talk about extreme risk protection orders, having myself worked in the law enforcement community, I can't just go to a court and ask for a warrant just because I heard of a crime. That's called hearsay. Hearsay is inadmissible in any court of law. Last time I checked in the free country of America, that is draconian dictatorship, okay? We have reasonable articulate suspicion of a crime being committed or having already been committed. I cannot petition to a judge with, hey, Your Honor, I think that he committed a crime because so-and-so said so, or so-and-so says that he's a bad guy. I think that I can stop a crime that he might commit later on down the line if you just let me do this now. That is, those are violations of your constitutional rights, okay? Those are constitutional violations, okay? Under the 10th Amendment, okay, that's why there is no federal red flag laws, because the Supreme Court has rendered we do not have the constitutional authority to say, yes, the federal government has the authority. However, with these grants being done, that is why the states are being bribed to do these things. They're saying, hey, we don't have the constitutional muster, is how it's worded. We don't have the federal constitutional muster to enact this on a national level. However, we'll go ahead and bribe you on the state level to go ahead and do this locally. Those are the issues that I have.
Okay. Representative Moody, your response to that?
Let's talk about extreme risk protective orders. Red flag laws seem to be a topic of conversation as part of this debate. They are essentially the exact same construct that we use today. Today in El Paso, dozens and dozens of protective orders were filed in cases of domestic violence, mostly domestic violence, sexual assault, others, you have stalking and human trafficking, like I've mentioned. Those are done on the allegations of a crime that had been committed, right? No one has been convicted. And so the judge right now has that authority in Texas to divest someone in those limited instances. What the extreme risk protective order does is it expands that authority into different conduct. So the conduct that's being exhibited, plus that has to have a nexus with their access to firearms. That's the way those bills are constructed. They're built on a current construct that's been in place for years in Texas, and I've never seen no mass litigation about people's rights being violated in those instances. So I think it is a very, it is actually a very minimal step that we can take to protect people. And look, you've got law enforcement that's going to be involved in any of those decisions, and so I believe you have proper protections throughout that process that mirror what we do in our criminal justice system already today.
Okay, I know we can debate this topic all day, but we have to take a break right now. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. Still ahead, what can be done to make our schools safer? City Representative Claudia Rodriguez is joining the show. After this week, she proposed some ideas for school safety during a city council work session.
What's the word on the street? Taco Cabana is serving up new carne asada street tacos with fresh cilantro and onion. Carne asada, new at Taco Cabana. Get together and try it today.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kind of got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah,
So you.
it is.
At the heart of every Buick SUV is you. Pay no interest on Buick SUV models.
See your El Paso, Las Cruces Buick dealers.
You know, one of the biggest fears that we see from so many folks is, have we done a good enough job financially as we go on through the retirement years? I think retirement should look like, it should look like every day being a Saturday. We want to have freedom to go do the things that we can do, and we're going to help you understand the tools that will help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. What I get out of that is such an incredible fulfillment of being able to help you get to where you want to be.
Press play on summer savings today at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso. We're stocked for summer with the vehicles you want, like Elantras, Tucson, Santa Fe, Santa Cruzes, and even Palisades. All available with zero down. That's zero cash out of pocket. And interest rates as low as 2.79% APR for 60 months. Stop by and check out the all-new 2022 Ioniq 5 electric SUV in stock. That's an electric SUV in stock today. Press play on summer savings today at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso.
What could make a Taco Cabana burrito even better? Yep, that'll do it. New smothered burritos with your choice of sauce. Only at Taco Cabana.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. This past week, City Council discussed school safety and gun violence during a work session. There were 2 items on the agenda. Item 2, which was ultimately passed, urges the Texas governor to call for a special legislative session to address gun violence and directs the city manager to work with the El Paso State Delegation, El Paso school districts, and other governmental agencies to enhance these efforts. One of the original authors of that agenda item, Representative Claudia Rodriguez, removed herself from the resolution. She explained why in that work session. Take a listen.
The reason why I decided to remove myself from the resolution was because I wanted to concentrate on school safety. I brought my daughter in today. I have 4 kids. I have a 1st grader, I have a 3rd grader, I have a 7th grader, and I have an 8th grader. To me, their safety and all of the kids of our community is my priority. And I don't have time for this gun debate. That is not us. That is not for us to decide. What we can do is provide safety for the schools, which is why I went ahead and decided to do a separate resolution.
And joining us now is Representative Claudia Rodriguez. Representative Rodriguez, thank you for coming on the show. I know we saw there you had some emotion during that moment talking about your daughter. All 3 of you on this panel, you all have children. This question's for you, Representative Rodriguez. As a parent, take me through, what were the feelings like the day after that Uvalde shooting, taking your kids to school?
So I think that, like most parents in our community, having gone through what we went through during Walmart, and then this happening in Uvalde, it's challenging, and we keep asking ourselves, why does this keep happening? Why do our kids, like I mentioned, our most precious babies, being subjected to this type of torment, right? Where they can't even go to school and feel safe. Where us as a parent, we can't just trust that our kids will be safe at school. So for me, it was very, very challenging, you know, not only the day after the Uvalde shooting, but the day after Walmart. I know that the day that the Uvalde shooting happened, something similar to me happened, where we were also at my son's end of the year ceremony, and those kids in Uvalde were also having their end of the year ceremony. And just like I said bye to my kids, some of those parents said bye to their kids for the very last time. So it was very challenging.
Mm-hmm. And you want to you're very adamant about talking about school safety. I know all of you are. Let's talk about the item you placed on the agenda. It was item 1. I'm going to read this verbatim just from the agenda list here so our viewers can see. It says, quote, discussion and action on a resolution calling for additional school safety measures to protect schools from violence through additional funding for training, hiring retired military or law enforcement officers, and calling for minimum safety standards and protocols for all Texas schools in response to the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. Representative Rodriguez, let's go into this. Let's talk about, you mentioned the hiring of retired military or law enforcement officials. Where does this idea come from?
So I think that for me, when our Walmart shooting happened, as awful as that was, what was inspiring was to see our local law enforcement community come together. And we saw the response of police department, El Paso Police Department. We saw the response from Border Patrol, from the ISDs, from Fort Bliss, our military. And so to me, in a way, I remember thinking, we live in a very safe community where if something happens, we have that quick response, right? And so having Fort Bliss as our neighbor here in El Paso, I think that there's a lot of retired veterans that have kids and that would be willing to take this responsibility and this job to essentially be guardians at our school and protect our kids.
And Chris, you are a veteran. Fort Bliss, like you said, Representative Rodriguez, right in our backyard. Chris, what do you think of a program like that?
I'm 150% all for it. I did speak with Claudia about that. Florida has a program much like that, and they tailor it as the Guardians program, where they actually got very proactive. It was right before Governor DeSantis took office, and it was very successful. And it basically is a way, there's a lot of veterans that want to step back up. Veterans are gentle giants, if you will. We love to serve, and if you look at it historically and statistically, we are more equipped, better trained, more skilled than, sadly, our local police departments. We always train. A lot of us are business owners in those lines of work. I myself am a former infantryman. I still continue that style of work in self-defense. I still do that style of training, if you will. And my certifications are still going on. I told Representative Rodriguez that I'm willing to help. I know a bunch of veterans that are lined up calling me daily like, hey, when can I start?
And Representative Moody, I remember that a similar idea or an idea just like that was mentioned at the town hall that you hosted. Is this a conversation, a program like that that you've discussed with your colleagues in the state delegation?
Yeah, there's been multiple conversations around school safety, and it certainly needs to be and is an important part of the conversation. And again, I do think that this is a multifaceted conversation. If you want to talk about school safety, if you want to talk about police presence and response, you want to talk about mental health resources, mental illness resources, those types of things, you still do have to include the conversation about access to weapons. If you're not discussing all of those things simultaneously, then you're doing a disservice to the community that we serve. And we can do better than that. So these programs are great programs, and we should think about everything that we can do to make our schools safe. But school hardening and school security isn't meant to mean that nothing bad can ever happen again. It is meant to create barriers of entry, right? You have a fence line, you have security, you have doors that lock on the external, you have doors that lock on internal. Those are different layers that are supposed to stop a threat from getting to those babies, to those kids. And so that's what you angle for there. And we've met with experts around the state about that and how to do that in a proactive way. But like I said, we really need to have a holistic approach to this. Otherwise, we're not really getting at the entirety of the problem.
And Representative Rodriguez, what can the city government do to help with school safety? Can they provide more funding or more resources for schools?
I think that the school districts are their own governmental entity. They're independent districts, or the ISDs. I think that I try to use my platform to try and encourage our state delegates to push for that funding, to bring it from the state level. As far as the city being able to provide funding, I don't believe we have the resources. However, I do believe that we can partner up with our police department and see how we can have like a central command center with whomever is at the school and being able to just communicate where there are eyes and ears and they're the first ones there on the ground. Again, as a mom, my priority is the safety of my children, the safety of my kids in my district, in my community in El Paso. I think that when 9/11 happened, we beefed up security at the airports, and we haven't had a single hijacking ever since. Since our Walmart shooting happened, we put security at Walmart, and we haven't, we feel safe going into Walmarts now. Again, like I mentioned, no matter what time of the day, you can go into any Walmart, there's security there, and you feel safe being there. And I don't understand, the reason why I removed myself from the original conversation, the original resolution, was because I believe that this is a separate issue in the sense of school security. This debate for gun reform has been happening long enough. And I don't have interest in it. I want my kids to be secure now, today, not just my kids, but all the kids. And I have a lot of parent friends, and I'm very involved in my school, and everybody wants the same thing. And we do not want our school security to be mixed up with the politics of gun reform.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but still ahead, we'll talk more about school safety and how to help those smaller schools who have a lack of resources.
Feeling like ice cold lemonade. Know where to go when you in the shade. Know where to go when you in the cage. Feeling like.
Visit Fox Acura of El Paso for attractive offers on the Integra.
Social and emotional competence of children.
Being a parent is hard. With parent cafes, it's less hard. Sessions are in Spanish and English, so join us today.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We're normal people just like you.
And together, we can make a difference.
Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
At ABC-7, we made it easy to get the most out of the KVIA Storm Track weather and traffic app. Just point your phone at the screen to get step-by-step videos about how to set alerts on our app. Get hyper-local weather conditions and custom severe weather alerts wherever you live and work. You'll be the first to know when severe weather heads your way. Use it to keep your family safe. Scan the code, get the app, get the alert.
Sponsored by Mattress Firm. Congratulations to ABC-7 reporter Rachel Phillips and chief photographer John McMahon for winning first place in the Texas Broadcast News Awards for their story, Moose Vision, about a visually impaired youth hockey team.
Feeling like ice cold lemonade. Know where to go when you in the shade. Know where to go when you in the cage. Feeling like.
Visit Fox Acura of El Paso for attractive offers on the Integra.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. Tornillo ISD, located in a small rural town on the outskirts of El Paso County, is talking about school safety. At a board meeting this week, trustees heard from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office about their School Resource Officer program. The district wants to implement that program in their schools. I was in attendance at the meeting and spoke with the superintendent, who tells me they need help with resources.
On the edge of El Paso County, Tornillo is not the biggest town. But its schools still need what every school in the country needs: security. But the town's isolation means resources are not always the closest. The law enforcement agencies nearby are Customs and Border Protection, the Sheriff's Office, and state troopers. But the district estimates it would take them 10 to 15 minutes to get to their school in the event of an active shooter. Unacceptable for Tornillo ISD Superintendent Rosa Vega Barrio.
We are failing as far as supporting and securing communities out in the outskirts of El Paso, which is Tornillo.
Right now, the district has unarmed security officers, cameras, and provides training for their staff. Vega Barrio says they need more help and resources from state and local government. Each district gets money from the state for school safety each year, but Vega Barrio is not happy with their share.
For example, Tornillo, we get $10,000 a year from the state, which is nothing.
Wednesday night, the school board met in this room and heard from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office about getting a school resource officer. The department has applied for a grant that would give them 4 new resource officers, one of which could go to Tornillo for 3 years.
I do believe that we need assistance out here.
The board is considering all options, including the school marshal program, which would allow certain teachers in schools to be armed.
Parents are entrusting their most valuable asset, which is their children, to us, and so it's a huge responsibility for us to carry.
Perspective, with the grant from the Sheriff's Office, the district would have to pay more than $61,000 over that 3-year period. And we did hear the superintendent, Vega Barrio, that they only receive $10,000 from the state each year for school safety. Representative Joe Moody, you saw that they said the district estimates it would take 10 to 15 minutes in an event of an active shooter for them to arrive on scene. I mean, what comes to your mind when you hear that number?
Look, I think that's got to drive fear into the heart of any parent that leaves their child at a school with that type of lag time. And so certainly needs to be a part of the conversation, what type of security exists on these campuses, and particularly in rural Texas. You talk about the diverse nature of this state. What things look like in Tornillo probably will look like something different in El Paso or Houston. So we need to be reflective of our funding streams our funding streams need to reflect the needs of those districts.
At the state level, in terms of school security, will there be more focus on physical barriers, physical protection, or more for providing resources for mental health care or maybe a crisis intervention team?
I think you'll see all the above. I think all those things are going to be talked about. There was a hearing held yesterday in the House that went for over 12 hours where all those topics were touched upon. And what I would implore people to do as they have this conversation is to make sure that it is complete, right? We want to talk about officers, we want to talk about school hardening or security measures or mental health, that we need to also talk about access to weapons, because without that part of the discussion, I'm not afraid to have a discussion about any one of those things. And so we should sit down at the table and come up with something that works for everybody.
Okay, Representative Moody, thank you very much for coming on the show and talking about these programs. I'm Dylan McKim, and thank you very much for joining us for ABC-7 Extra. I hope you have a great week ahead.